All right, listen up, fam. This high school is basically a training camp for future criminals. We're talking sleeping in class, brawling in the hallways, even the teachers are too scared to step in. Isn't this place a total nightmare for studying? But get a load of our boy. He looks like a total nerd with those glasses, but he's actually a top-tier fighter who settles arguments with his fists. And his ultimate goal for being here? To get into college. Meanwhile, over at the abandoned school gym, the vibe is straight up terrifying. Some guys from Bakeson High are shouting threats from outside, and inside, a couple of students are already beaten down, too scared to even breathe. And these poor guys on the floor? They're totally losing hope, talking about how some Northern Alliance is taking over the city and doubting if even their number one can do anything. But then you have this dude on the phone, cool as a cucumber. Total boss energy. Back on campus, word is spreading fast that the school's under attack. While some are still panicking, the real fighters are gearing up. You can see the fire in their eyes. And then there's our boy Gammon, focused and calm as ever. He's ready. And just like that, the action starts. Our boy doesn't waste a second, unleashing a vicious kick. Crunch. You could practically hear that one. And look at that smirk. He's just getting warmed up. He follows it up with another brutal kick, sending the guys staggering back. The onlookers are stunned. They're shouting, he's beating Yukenbeck. That's right, our nerdy-looking kid is absolutely dominating a top fighter. People are starting to realize just how much he's improved. This is a whole new level of fighting. He's so confident he's literally taunting the guy to try harder. Cold. But Yuken gets a jab in, mocking him for only using his feet. But don't count Yuken out yet. He finds his opening, calculating his moves, 1-2, and BEM. A clean shot sends our boy to the mat. The tables have turned just like that. Our boy is completely shocked by the counterattack. Even the guys watching are starting to have doubts. Was he just lucky? One of them wonders. The first time, maybe, but 3 times is no coincidence. They realize he's the real deal, but it's too late. Wham. Another brutal hit lands. Okay, this is getting personal now. Look at the rage in our boy's eyes. He is done playing games. And now we get the secret to Yuken's power. It's not brute strength. The guy is a tactical genius. He's a master at picking up fight patterns, analyzing his opponents on the fly. The longer the fight lasts, the less effective his opponent becomes, because he's already downloaded their entire moveset. Then, when the momentum is all his, crack, he finds the opening. This dude literally fights with his brain. Our boy is absolutely furious, but Yuken is just loving it. Look at that evil cackle. He's completely in control now, following up with another devastating kick. It looks like Gammon is getting totally outplayed. But you can never count our boy out. Just when Yuken thinks he's got it in the bag, Gammon switches tactics. He catches the leg and boom, a takedown. Look at the feral look in his eyes. He roars, "This is done with your mind? This fight just got real." And just like that, the tables are turned. Yuken, who was just smirking a second ago, gets absolutely rocked by a brutal punch, sending him crashing to the ground. That power is just insane. Yuken is in total disbelief. He can't believe Gammon just absorbed that attack with pure core strength. Meanwhile, our boy is huffing and puffing, but you can see the determination. He's ready to end this. He knows his opponent is trying to read him, so he plays mind games, feinting one way before unleashing the final blow. The dragon kick, an absolutely legendary move right when it counts. And that's the match. Yuken is down for the count. Our boy stands victorious, a wild smile on his face, with the banner of Yusung Technical High School behind him. In this moment, he owns this school. But the day is far from over. Another punk tries to jump him with a brick, but Gammon handles him without even breaking a sweat. Look at him, just hands in his pockets, coolly saying, "That's not cool, asshole." Well, legend. His friends finally catch up, asking where the number one is. But here's the kicker. The narrator reveals our boy has been holding back this whole time, not even using his hands. Can you imagine how strong he'll be when he finally goes all out? Meanwhile, the other members of the study group are pushing themselves to the limit too. As the sun sets, you can see them running, fighting for their future in their own way. That's the spirit. But Gammon can't rest just yet. Little does he know, a new threat is already here. And judging by that creepy smirk, this guy is bad news. Another storm is brewing. And we cut right back to the action. Our boy is in total beast mode, dominating his next opponent. He's got him pinned, lands a clean side kick, and finishes with a powerful grip. No chance of escape. The guy is screaming his head off. He's breaking it. And then BM, he's on the floor. Lying there, he regrets ever opening his mouth, while the winner calmly states, "They always slip out when I say let's start with this arm." The psychological warfare is real. Our boy starts monologuing about his past, mentioning he learned some Aikido. But he makes it clear, what he learned wasn't for kids. it was for life or death situations. Look at that stance, that focus. He's getting ready for a serious showdown with Dojin Woo. And the cover art for this season tells you everything you need to know. It's going to be an explosive mix of fists and fury. Just look at this art style. You know the action is going to be off the charts. A new challenger appears. This purple-haired dude looks absolutely unhinged. But his tough guy act doesn't last long before Gammon lands a solid punch right in the gut. That's gotta hurt. So much for intimidation. But wait, this guy is abnormally resilient. He takes a punch that would knock anyone else out and just gets back up. Even our boy Gammon is thinking, this bastard is built different. The guys on the ground are terrified. They know this purple-haired dude is a certified psycho. And true to form, after taking a beating, he just grins even wider and tells everyone, yeah, take a good look, you sons of bitches. And here's his secret. The dude was born with analgesia, a condition where he can't feel any pain. To him, it's not a disease, it's a blessing. Because if you can't feel pain, you can't feel fear either. This guy is a walking cheat code. His entire philosophy is twisted. He believes the only way to get ahead in this world is by stepping on the bodies of others. This guy is a straight-up villain, through and through. He's screaming like a maniac, daring anyone to try and break his bones. But just as he's at his craziest, a calm female voice cuts through the noise. That big-ass mouth of yours. Oh, someone's about to shut him up. A girl with long black hair approaches, her presence completely commanding. You probably think talking tough makes you look cool, she says, but do you know what it looks like to me? And for the first time, we see real fear on the psycho's face. He's totally shook. We get a quick flashback showing just how ruthless this guy can be. The sheer brutality and the power imbalance he creates, it's chilling. And she breaks him down perfectly. You don't feel pain, but that doesn't mean the pain isn't there, she tells him. You're an idiot who keeps sticking your hand in boiling water just to feel special. Damn, that's a verbal takedown. Meanwhile, another fight is reaching its climax. Our boy Gammon, with pure determination in his eyes, unleashes a barrage of powerful blows, each one landing with explosive force. Facing a tough opponent, our boy doesn't back down. He finds an opening and, with a confident smirk, delivers a knockout blow. That was a clean, powerful finish. But his opponent isn't going down without a fight. He counters with a mid-air spinning kick, a seriously impressive move. This is a high-level battle, with both sides trading deadly blows. But Gammon is always one step ahead. He dodges the attack and immediately closes the distance with an explosive dash, landing another heavy hit. His reaction speed is just inhuman. He calls this one the thumb punch. It's a move that channels all his power into one devastating blow, completely overwhelming his opponent. This shot, set against the sunset, is pure hype. The fight becomes a stalemate. Every punch from this guy is like a bomb, and just dodging is draining our boy's energy. But the opponent knows that if Gammon gets a hold of him, it's game over. This has become a battle of stamina and will. The opponent seems to be baiting him, a creepy smile spreading across his face as he taunts. Yes, grab me. What kind of twisted strategy is this? It was a trap. The second Gammon grabs him, he uses the momentum to execute a brutal suplex, slamming our boy into the hard floor. Ouch, that had hurt. But our boy is a quick learner. He counters with a joint lock of his own, a skill we've never seen from him before. Who fights with just one style these days? He smirks. Good thing I learned a few more skills. The character development is real. The opponent is in agony, his joint completely locked. Our boy is digging his fingers into the ground, enduring immense pain, but refusing to let go. This isn't about skill anymore. It's a raw contest of endurance. The fight is finally over, and everyone is exhausted. Looking at the loser's busted-up face, one of the guy's jokes is going to give him nightmares. But just as he's wondering where Gammon is, crash. His friend is sent flying by an unseen attack. A blood-curdling scream echoes across the school grounds as the sun sets. A new, powerful enemy has just made their grand entrance. Elsewhere, our main crew is trying to track down the school's #1 fighter, Dojin Woo. Looks like they're planning to go straight for the final boss. Through a flashback, we learn that our crew was publicly humiliated after being robbed by some Yusung High thugs. They were made an example of, and they've been outcasts ever since. The gang culture in this school runs deep, and Dojin Woo sits at the very top. We learn that someone was foolish enough to challenge him once, and it didn't end well for them. The legend says that even Yukin Beck, the guy who's a genius at reading fight patterns, couldn't even lay a finger on him. Just how powerful is this school's #1? Before they can even find Dojin Woo, trouble finds them. Gammon gets surrounded, and the thugs are threatening to bring their boss down on them. A huge brawl is about to break out. They search everywhere, only to find out Dojin Woo is in the new gymnasium. And our boy Gammon has a plan. Even if he can only hold him off for a single second, it might be enough for them to win. To create that opening, his red-headed friend makes a sacrificial charge, ready to go down in a blaze of glory. Meanwhile, Gammon prepares himself, calmly ready to face the monster head-on. But Gammon stops his friend and locks the door behind them. He's made his decision. He's going to take on the entire gang all by himself. What an absolute Chad. And on the other side of the gym, the final boss himself, Dojin Woo, finally makes his appearance. He looks impatient, and a cruel, knowing smirk spreads across his face. The hunt is about to begin. Back outside, the red-haired kid is buying them time, facing down Dojin Woo all alone. He wields a staff, his eyes fierce with determination as he jams the door shut. He's putting it all on the line for Gammon. Dojin Woo clearly doesn't see him as a threat, his words dripping with contempt. He can't believe this nobody is trying to stand in his way, mocking his appearance and his nerve. Dojin Woo's goons mistake Gammon for some errand boy and start trash-talking. The redhead steps in, clarifying their friends. But before the conversation can go anywhere, the punches start flying. This thug clearly picked the wrong fight. Gammon's power is on another level, and he sends the guy flying into a wall with a single, effortless move. Gammon presses the advantage, unleashing a fluid combo that leaves his opponent completely helpless. He pins him to the ground, his cold stare radiating pure dominance. The guy is completely beaten, but look at Gammon's face. He's perfectly calm. He'd already read all of his opponent's surprise attacks. To him, this guy was just too inexperienced. Turns out, Gammon has been through fights like this before. We get a flashback to a 3-on-1 test where he held his own against impossible odds. Everyone thought he was fighting for a set of car keys, but his friend remembers it differently. The look in Gammon's eyes wasn't for surprise. It was as if he could see something in the distance, a goal he was fighting to prove he could reach. The fight rages on, and while his friends are rooting for him, they know that fighting hard and winning are two different things. Against a monster like Dojin Woo, does Gammon really stand a chance? Gammon lands a brutal knee strike, getting bloodied in the process. But he just grins like a maniac, shouting, "I landed a hit." This reckless, all-or-nothing fighting style is both terrifying and awesome to watch. Finally, with one last burst of overwhelming power, Gammon sends his opponent flying into a stack of crates. Bam! The fight is over. A decisive victory. But before he can even catch his breath, the real boss, Dojin Woo, appears behind him like a ghost and lands a devastating high kick. Crash! Gammon is hit with a flurry of punches, completely unable to fight back. The speed, the power, it's on a whole different level. So this is the true strength of Yu Sung Hai's #1. Seeing this overwhelming power, Gammon's friend falls into despair. He starts to wonder if, in this dog-eat-dog school, you really have to become a monster to survive. With a single, powerful punch, Dojin Woo knocks Gammon out cold. His lackeys laugh maniacally, enjoying the one-sided beatdown. Dojin Woo reveals the harsh truth. As long as he's using his fists, the outcome of this fight was already decided. In the realm of punching, he is the undisputed king. But then his friend remembers Gammon's advice. Practice your kicks. Don't use your fists. He realizes he lost his own fight because he didn't listen. Gammon knew all along what they'd be up against. Back in the fight, we realize Gammon was holding back. He was only using his feet, basically fighting with a handicap. But now that he's unleashed his fists, his power level skyrockets, and suddenly, it's an even match. The sudden shift shocks everyone. What was a one-sided beatdown has turned into a neck-and-neck brawl. Gammon, now fighting at full power, smirks. So what? You were holding back on me this whole time. Gammon's attacks become relentless, a beautiful combination of kicks and punches. He lands a clean backspin elbow, catching his opponent completely off guard. His friends are hyped. Yeah, now that this dude's using his fists. With a furious roar, he channels all his strength into his fists and slams his opponent to the ground, ending the fight with a decisive thump. The opponent, furious and refusing to accept defeat, tries to get up. But Gammon gives him no quarter, stomping him back down to make it clear who won this fight. As he looms over his defeated foe, Gammon's expression is cold and calculating. There's no pity in his eyes, only the quiet confidence of a predator. In this school, only the strong survive. His opponent finally understands. Even with Gammon using his fists, the power gap between them is massive. This overwhelming strength is just on a completely different level, and the realization is crushing. Faced with this unreasonable level of power, his opponents will finally break. He can only clench his fists and let out a roar of pure frustration and rage. After the fight, Gammon's friends arrive at the gym, but the main door is locked. They sneak in through the back, only to be left completely speechless by what they find inside. Turns out, our boy Gammon took on the entire gang by himself. And when his opponent tries to say something, Gammon just shuts him down with a cold. Anything else to say? We don't see the whole fight, but the aftermath says it all. It was a total massacre. The opponent is left broken on the floor while Gammon stands over him, completely unfazed. Dojin Wu lays out the brutal law of their world. The strong get to do whatever they want, and the weak get trampled on. His words are filled with the cold, arrogant confidence of someone at the top. And the defeated are forced to accept this twisted philosophy, sometimes at knife point. In this school, violence is the only truth that matters. Looking at his defeated enemies, Dojin Wu's eyes are filled with utter disdain. He's already thinking about what to do with these insect motherfuckers who dared to get in his way. But Gammon isn't broken. He's panting, beaten, but his eyes are burning with resolve. He doesn't care about spider charts or power levels. He knows one thing. He has to keep fighting. He charges forward one last time, gathering every last bit of his strength for a final, desperate attack against his seemingly invincible foe. Crack! It looks like he did it. He burst through the doors, startling his friends. Back in the classroom, his opponent lies defeated amidst the wreckage. But it was all part of Dojin's plan. He knew the Northern Alliance would eventually take over anyway. He was just using his own men to test his enemies and consolidate his power. After the fight, one of the remaining thugs confronts Gammon's friend, furious that he was cheering for the enemy. He calls him a traitor, a Benedict Arnold. The gym is a wreck. Broken glasses lie in a pool of blood. Someone reports back to Dojin Wu, explaining in disbelief that Gammon. He wiped the floor with all of them, all by himself. Gammon's friends finally arrive to see he's handled everything on his own. They're a little jealous, asking, why does he get to do all the cool shit by himself? But they're also inspired. They're determined to get stronger, too. But there's no time to rest. Dojin Wu and his two strongest henchmen have Gammon surrounded. Our boy is exhausted, but he stands his ground. He knows the real fight is just beginning. Dojin Wu's goons arrive on the scene, mocking him. All my guys are down. They sneer, joking about food poisoning. Their contempt for the defeated is palpable. Gammon's friend, Hankyong, wants to jump in and help, but Gammon stops him. Just shut up, sit down, and watch, he says with cold resolve. He's going to handle this himself. The henchmen don't get it. Why would his friend just sit back? But Dojin Wu just stares at Gammon, his eyes sharp, as if trying to dissect him to understand the source of this quiet confidence. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the school, a mysterious new character is holding Yusung's flag, just waiting. He sees the chaos unfolding and decides he has no choice but to wait until the fight's over. His friends are freaking out, urging him to take advantage of the numbers game while he can. But Gammon is unfazed. Just shut up, sit down and watch, he repeats. He's got this. We learn Gammon has a history with Dojin Wu's brother. He once made a vow to fight him fair and square, on his own terms. This is personal, and the fight begins. Gammon clashes with the brother in a brutal exchange of blows. It's an intense, powerful brawl from the get-go. The brother's strength is monstrous. A single high kick sends Gammon crashing to the ground with enough force to crack the floor. This guy is a beast. But Gammon refuses to stay down. He answers with one of his signature moves, the Fist of Fury jump kick, a spectacular aerial attack that lands perfectly on target. The impact sends his opponent flying as Gammon falls back to the earth. Both fighters are putting everything on the line in this incredible battle. The brother gets back up, finally admitting that Gammon didn't beat Hamilpie by luck. But that admission is fueled by a burning anger and jealousy that's now boiling over. And now, the big boss Dojin Wu reveals his philosophy. The strong get to do whatever they want, and the weak get trampled on. He tells Gammon not to be angry. The moment his father attacked him, this outcome was inevitable. We get a glimpse into Gammon's father's past. It seems he, too, tried to fight against this twisted system, but ultimately failed. It's a heavy, oppressive sense of destiny. Surrounded by Dojin Wu and his men, Gammon doesn't flinch. His eyes are firm with resolve. He's going to use his own fist to shatter this so-called destiny. Gammon's fighting style is incredibly adaptable. He weaves through deadly attacks, always finding a way to counter. Even when faced with an armed opponent, he shows absolutely no fear. But even he can't dodge forever. The numbers are against him, and he eventually gets caught by a kick to the head, sending him crashing through a stack of desks. The brother struggles back to his feet, admitting he underestimated Gammon. I'm gonna fight for real now, asshole, he screams. The final phase of the battle is about to begin. He smashes his fist into the floor, unleashing a shockwave of incredible power that shakes the entire room. This kind of strength is beyond what any high schooler should have. Dojin Woo walks towards Gaiman, launching his final psychological assault. He tells him what he should really be angry about isn't his father's failure, or his own powerlessness. It's that power is never determined by effort. It's a God-given talent. With those words, he tries to invalidate everything Gammon has ever fought for. But is he right? Dojin's words about God-given talent are still hanging in the air when we crash back to the present, with Gammon smashing his fist right into Dojin's face, giving him a physical answer to his twisted philosophy. And we're thrown into a flashback. A younger Dojin, already a punk, is getting grilled about high school. The moment Yusung High is mentioned, he scoffs. That's Yeonbaek Pai's school, and he's not about to go kiss his ass. Later, Dojin's still trying to act tough, demanding a light from someone. But that's when our boy Gammon steps onto the scene, overhearing their conversation and dropping a bombshell. He knows Yeonbaek Pai's son, Hamul Pai. Yeonbaek Pai's son. The revelation shocks Dojin to his core. And right on cue, those haunting words echo again. Power is a God-given talent. The irony is thick as we see a gut-wrenching flash of a tiny, terrified Gammon. God-given talent, that phrase just sets Dojin off. He snaps a pencil in half and lunges, slamming some poor nerd against the wall with pure rage on his face. The flashback continues. Some blue-haired punk wants to test this blessed son, getting right in his face. Big mistake. Before he can even finish a sentence, he gets a swift kick that sends him flying into the brick wall. Talk about an instant KO. Hamul Pai's bodyguards immediately pin the guy down. When they ask if he knows the punk, Hamul gives a cold glance and just says no. Ice cold, man. The level of unbothered is off the charts. But Dojin isn't impressed, mocking Hamul for needing bodyguards. Hamul just smirks back, his comeback dripping with condescension. You look my age, but you can't even handle two guys at once? How cute. Ouch, that's a verbal smackdown. Hamul's crew takes offense, suggesting they break one of Dojin's limbs before letting him go. The tension skyrockets, and just as they're about to make a move, Dojin's friend cries out his name in terror. But guess who shows up out of nowhere? It's our boy Gammon. He takes out a bodyguard with a single, brutal kick and then flashes a defiant smirk at Hamul. Chill out, Hamul Pai. He's showing off, and he knows it. The flashback ends, and we're back with Dojin talking to another big shot. This guy clearly looks down on the Yusung High thugs. Meanwhile, Gammon is just watching from a distance, completely detached from the chaos. This guy, Young Hyun Ji, clearly isn't on the same page as Dojin. He cuts him off, casually mentions he was on his way to see Goliath, and then invites him to lunch. The sheer audacity has Dojin completely baffled. Young Hyun sees right through Dojin's tough guy act and tells him to stop pretending. The scene then cuts, revealing the bigger picture. Dojin and Hamul were always destined to be rivals, heading to Yusung and Wal High respectively. A fated showdown is brewing. We jump back to Gammon and Hamul's first encounter. Hamul is stunned by Gammon's strength, but Gammon just scoffs internally, thinking, can't even fight two people at once? Goo! And with that, he just walks away, leaving Hamul completely dumbfounded. However, Gammon's display of power didn't go unnoticed by Dojin. He looks at Gammon with a twisted grin, saying he likes his guts. And you just know, this is the beginning of a very complicated relationship. And so, Dojin extends an offer to Gammon, asking him to join forces. For Gammon, who just wants to survive Yusung and study, it seems like he has little choice. Look at him at his desk, trying so hard. Our boy just wants to learn. And the long flashback ends, snapping us back to the present fight. Gammon simply tells Dojin, you're weird. That's all it takes. Dojin explodes, slamming Gammon onto a bench and threatening to gouge his eyes out. This guy has serious anger issues. Dojin goes completely feral, grabbing a chair and smashing into the ground. He's bouncing off the walls like an uncontrollable beast, sliding across the floor in a fit of pure rage. But our boy Gammon is no slouch. He calmly seizes the opportunity, slides onto Dojin's back like a jiu-jitsu master, and locks him in a chokehold. Look at Dojin's face flip from menacing to pure shock and pain. With a powerful kick, Gammon sends Dojin flying across the room, smashing him onto the floor. That's gotta hurt. A lot. Pinned down, Dojin loses it completely. He starts furiously punching the wooden boards, screaming curses, unleashing all his pent-up fury. It feels like this anger is about more than just Gammon. And just as I thought, his mind flashes to his father on his deathbed. His dad's last words, apologizing for bringing him into a world with nothing, are the source of all his pain. Everything he does is a desperate attempt to escape that feeling of powerlessness. Fueled by this pain, Dojin lashes out again, arrogantly proclaiming that he's the one blessed by heaven. Gammon just looks at him, completely unfazed, and repeats, "You're really, really weird." "You think that's cool?" Gammon asks dismissively. He follows up with another swift kick, sending Dojin stumbling back, blood flying from his mouth. Gammon crouches, ready to end this. Gammon unleashes his signature move, the 0-inch punch. An explosive burst of power at point-blank range sends Dojin flying. Now that is power earned through pure effort. The fight is over. But Gammon doesn't celebrate. He just goes back to his desk to study. For him, giving it your all, whether in a fight or with a book, is what's really cool. And that image, that dedication, leaves a lasting impression on someone else watching. Back in the present, it seems Gammon's efforts have paid off in a weird way. He's now representing Yusung High, about to plant their flag in rival territory. But the other guys are just mocking him, wondering whose brilliant idea this was. Their face is a mix of disbelief and amusement. Just as Gammon is about to make his move, a mysterious masked figure appears out of nowhere and kicks him to the ground. He introduces himself as Goliath of the Northern Alliance. A new challenger has entered the ring. Picking up right where we left off, Yusung High has just won their battle. Gammon's there to plant the flag, but his rivals are still running their mouths, sarcastically asking if this was the idea of the guy they just knocked out. Before Gammon can even react, he gets blindsided by a mysterious attacker. Everyone is stunned. It's just as the rumors say. Yusung High shows no mercy. It's every man for himself here. The attacker reveals himself as Goliath from the Northern Alliance. He casually sits on top of Gammon, saying everyone was too distracted by the fight to notice him slip in. You could just tell this guy is on another level. Turns out Goliath was called in as backup by Dojin. Seeing this, Gammon's friend doesn't hesitate, yelling at the giant to get off his friend. A new fight is about to break out. Goliath looks down on Gammon with pure contempt, saying he was just looking for somewhere soft to sit. The disrespect is insane. The study group members can only watch in horror as the tension thickens. Just when it looks like another brawl is about to start, the Hyukchang High crew rushes in, screaming for Goliath. Apparently, this guy's a real celebrity in the delinquent world. Even our fangirl Hamill is excited to see him in person. The aftermath is brutal. The gym is littered with bodies, and blood is everywhere, all thanks to Goliath. His yellow eyes are glowing with menace. The students hiding in the shadows are terrified. Do these guys really want to go for round 2? Gammon steps forward, ready for another fight. His opponent mocks him, telling him to be a man and not make this fight meaningless. Is he trying to psych our boy out? Meanwhile, Dojin is having a moment by the sea. He's furious about being under Young Yunji's thumb. He screams into the void, vowing to keep proving himself until he becomes somebody that people can't look down on. The angst is real with this one, and Dojin isn't alone. His loyal crew is ready to throw down for him, charging into the fray. Even a girl who was previously an enemy joins the charge. This is turning into an all-out war. Just as Dojin's crew starts to run out of steam, Goliath steps up, saying he's here to help. With a monster like him on their side, the tide of the battle is about to turn big time. The fight ends, and the result is decisive. A representative from the Alliance declares that the loser, Hyukchang High, will hand over all authority, including control over their 7 affiliated schools, to Yusung High. To the victor go the spoils. This sudden transfer of power leaves the Hyukchang guys completely bewildered. They can't understand why the Alliance isn't protecting its own, instead handing everything over to Yusung. Their leader is devastated, watching everything he built crumble in an instant. But in this world, might makes right. Goliath wastes no time in putting the defiant blonde kid in his place, taking him down with a brutal kick. A harsh lesson that losers don't get a say. Goliath then puts his foot down, literally, on the Hyukchang leader's chest, coldly warning him that from this moment on, he won't tolerate any more nonsense. The intimidation is overwhelming. Faced with absolute power, the Hyukchang crew can only lower their heads in submission. But Gammon stands tall. You can see the defiance in his eyes. He doesn't care about authority over other schools. He has his own priorities. And then, in the most bizarre turn of events, Goliath snatches Gammon's takeout bag. Dude, seriously? You can beat people up, but stealing a man's food? That's crossing a line. Our boy is left completely speechless. Goliath takes a knife and pins the Yusung flag to a worn-out armchair, then snaps a picture. He's clearly sending a message, a proof of victory. The corruption in this school system runs deep. Meanwhile, it seems Ms. Lee from the study group is in trouble, being chased down by some thugs. And the trail for who's after her leads all the way up to that big shot we met earlier, Young Hyunji. To protect his teacher, Gammon goes straight to the source. He tells the guy to pass a message to Young Hyunji. He wants to talk about Ms. Hankyong Lee. Looks like our boy is about to go to war for his study group again. Thanks to Yusung's victory, the Hyukchain guys won't be bothering them for a while. Everyone's checking on a dude who got knocked out, while our own Kung Fu hustle, Jun Lee, fought so hard he just passed out. On the way home, the mood is much lighter. Gammon helps a friend find his glasses, and suddenly, they get called out by a group of girls. Look at our boy, suddenly popular. It's the blonde dude from before Mugyu. He's surprisingly friendly now, grabbing Gammon and his friend, insisting they go with him for some healing. By the looks of it, he's dragging them to karaoke. And yep, they end up at a karaoke bar. But just as Gammon was about to deal the final blow to Dojin in his mind, he gets jolted back to reality by the flashing lights and blaring music. Talk about tonal whiplash. The karaoke room is pure chaos. There's some weird rap show on TV, people are screaming into the mics, and poor Gammon is getting relentlessly poked by some guy in a mask. The suffering is real. The girls are having the time of their lives, absolutely fangirling. But Gammon is clearly not vibing. Look at his face twitching. He's practically screaming internally. Who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? Let's rewind a little. So, they ran into these girls after school. Mugyu was bragging about winning the fight, and the girls, being the opportunists they are, insisted he treat them to karaoke as a celebration. Mugyu keeps bragging, but then points straight at Gammon and says, "This scrawny-looking kid did most of the work." This blows Hankyong's mind. She can't believe this nerdy Four Eyes is the powerhouse everyone's talking about. Suddenly, Hankyong is looking at Gammon in a whole new light. The fangirling is real, folks. Just as Gammon tries to dip out to go study, she grabs his hand and declares that going to karaoke is her life's dream. Well, you can't say no to that. Back at the karaoke bar, Gammon is still stressing because he couldn't say no to her. Meanwhile, Dojin's partner is disappointed, thinking they should be filming their victory for clout instead of partying. Pliovitis, man. But then, one of the girls flashes a warm smile at Dojin's partner, and the guy just short-circuits. He's so stunned, he literally falls off the couch. I think we just witnessed love at first sight. On the other side of the room, things are getting interesting between Gammon and Hankyong. He awkwardly asks why she isn't making a move on him, and she just smiles sweetly, reminding him, "I'm the one who asked you to come." The vibe is getting a little spicy. Gammon confesses he's a terrible singer and doesn't have time for this. Hearing his excuse, Hankyong gives him this playful, knowing smile. I think she started to see his cute, nerdy side. The others start gossiping about Gammon's grades, assuming they must be terrible. Meanwhile, Mugyu grabs the mic and starts singing some obscure rock song that only he knows, torturing everyone in the room. It's a full-on psychic attack. The noise is deafening. Hankyong leans in close to Gammon, asking if he's stressed from school, but he's covering his ears and can't hear a word. The whole situation is just peak awkward comedy. Hankyong points out that Gammon hasn't smiled once. She asks if he doesn't enjoy just screaming into a mic and dancing with friends. The contrast between their quiet, awkward vibe and the two psychos rocking out in the background is hilarious. Her simple suggestion to just smile actually gets through to him. He realizes he can't remember the last time he genuinely smiled. Thanks to her, he lets out a sincere smile and a quiet thanks. This is a huge moment for our boy. Seizing the moment, Hankyong asks for his number. As Gammon types it in, his expression suddenly turns serious, almost pained. Noticing the change, she snatches her phone back. What was it all about? Having secured the number, Hankyong's mood does a 180. She grabs a mic and joins the chaos, belting out the love that I'm feeling is false. Is she trying to tell us something? After karaoke, the party's not over. The redhead wants to go take photos at a photo booth. Gammon just looks on, completely bewildered by their boundless energy. He is so not built for this social life. Suddenly, Hankyong says she has to go and quickly leaves. With her departure, the energy dies down, and the remaining guys decide to call it a night as well. But little do they know, Hankyong wasn't just leaving. She meets up with a shady-looking bald man in an alley. This guy is from Hyra Capital, formerly YB Capital. It seems Hankyong has some dangerous secrets of her own. It looks like Hankyong is being sold off or traded into some horrible situation. Meanwhile, Gammon, despite getting her number, feels too insecure to even call. Both of them are carrying such heavy burdens. And I knew it, the bald guy is bad news. He flashes a wicked grin and grabs Hankyong from behind when she least expects it. Hankyong is frozen in fear. At that exact moment, Gammon, lying in bed, gets a text from an unknown number. The look on his face tells us something is seriously wrong. The message is from Han-kyung. It's a coded cry for help. If you run away, I'll kill you. Gammon immediately understands the danger she's in. Just then, she spots him and calls out, "Loser." The tension is insane. We kick things off with high drama. Gammon stumbles upon Han-kyung being harassed by a lone shark. The bald dude sees the message on Gammon's phone and assumes he's the one who sent it. The air gets thick with tension fast. It turns out the threatening texts Han-kyung received were also from this bald creep. Seeing Gammon, he assumes he's here to interfere and absolutely loses his mind. Veins are popping, the whole 9 yards. Han-kyung, terrified for Gammon's safety, begs him to run. But it's too late. The lone shark has him by the collar. Just as he's about to throw a punch, Gammon casually shoves him, sending the huge guy flying. The power difference is insane. Humiliated and enraged, the lone shark retaliates with a vicious kick to Gammon's gut. The impact is so powerful it literally shreds his shirt. Our boy took that one head on. But Gammon tanks the hit like a champ and counters with a heavy punch of his own, sending the bald dude crashing to the pavement with a bloody face. Han-kyung is just standing there, completely stunned. Looking at Gammon, Han-kyung has a revelation. She realizes that the person who'd say, "If you run away, I'll kill you," is exactly the kind of person she'd follow anywhere. She grabs his hand, and in that moment, their bond becomes unbreakable. Gammon grabs her hand, and they make a run for it. They end up at a park to catch their breath. Han-kyung brings up what Mugyu said about Gammon taking on most of Hyuk Shanghai by himself. Looks like our boy's reputation is spreading. Han-kyung asks Gammon what he's going to do now. He's a bit taken aback and asks why she's asking. She gets this mischievous grin and teases why. "'Cause you gotta study?" She's totally flirting with him. Gammon is sweating bullets from her teasing. Han-kyung keeps it up, joking that it must be hard to believe someone as pretty and smart as her exists. The back and forth is just adorable. The mood shifts as they get serious. Han-kyung admits she learned that good grades and a fancy college don't guarantee happiness. Seeing how stressed Gammon is about studying, she can't help but ask him why he's pushing himself so hard. Gammon explains he just wants to do better, not because of parental pressure. This resonates with Han-kyung, whose own past is tied to her parents' expectations. Her dad, a top university graduate, started his own company, which ultimately failed and plunged their family into debt. After the business failed, her father's confidence was shattered, and their home was marked for seizure. It was a classic fall from grace story. From then on, her mother poured all her hopes and dreams into Han-kyung, developing an unhealthy obsession with her grades and treating her as her only reason for living. Han-kyung studied hard for her mom, but she never liked it, and her grades kept slipping. Finally, one day, when she just couldn't take the pressure anymore, she broke. She'd fallen asleep at a friend's house and missed cram school. When she got home, the look in her mother's eyes was pure terror. She was absolutely petrified. Her mother actually threatened to kill herself with a knife if Han-kyung didn't take school seriously. This extreme act was the last straw. Han-kyung ran away from home to live with her debt-ridden father, choosing that hell over the one with her mother. Hearing her story, Gammon understands her pain all too well. They're both kids suffocating under the weight of debt and family expectations. Seeking comfort, Han-kyung collapses into his arms. After sharing their deepest secrets, their connection has grown stronger. Han-kyung thanks Gammon for everything he did that day and then leaves, letting our boy process everything that just happened. Meanwhile, the bald loan shark is furious that Han-kyung slipped through his fingers. He gets a call and seems to be reporting to a superior. The final shot of a loan contract stained with blood tells you everything you need to know about how these people operate. And the person on the other end of that call is none other than Young Hyun-ji. We see him brutally forcing some poor blonde guy to sign a loan contract. It's clear now that he's the mastermind pulling all the strings. And we end back with Gammon and Han-kyung. She seems to have discovered a new side to him, looking down at him with a sly, knowing smile. It feels like their relationship is about to level up. Gammon actually brought Han-kyung home, but they walk in on his uncle, who's mid-brush, with toothpaste foam all over his chin. The dude is so shocked to see his nephew with a girl that he drops his toothbrush. Peak comedy. His uncle immediately grabs Gammon, assuming he brought her home because it's dangerous out there. His logic is something else. Han-kyung, meanwhile, just sits calmly on the couch, observing the chaos like a queen. Han-kyung compliments the nice house while the uncle pulls Gammon aside to whisper about how she's worth risking his life for. Little does he know, she hears everything, and that little tells us she's enjoying this. The uncle, being a great host, orders fried chicken for everyone. At the table, Han-kyung learns that Gammon's mom is overseas and his uncle is just staying temporarily. When it's her turn to share, Her expression turns a little sad. The table suddenly falls silent, with only the uncle crunching away on his chicken. Han-kyung watches Gammon, who's just silently eating, and you can see the curiosity and confusion in her eyes. After dinner, Han-kyung jokingly asks if the uncle is a comedian. Turns out, he accidentally broke a pair of display glasses at his shop and tried to cover it up, only to get caught. What a character. Han-kyung checks out Gammon's room and is surprised by how clean it is. She finds his study planner and calls it cute, which makes our boy blush. He's so not used to compliments. The atmosphere in the room is getting thicker by the second. Gammon is blushing hard, and Han-kyung seems to be enjoying teasing him. Something's definitely going to happen tonight. The TV is showing some intense airplane emergency landing scene, but Gammon and his uncle are watching it with zero expression. Han-kyung can't help but ask, bored? The contrast is just hilarious. Han-kyung is baffled that a guy would bring a girl home just to actually study. The uncle explains that's just who Gammon is. No matter what happens, even if he has to pull an all-nighter, he will finish his daily quota. The uncle sees right through him. It's not just about grades. Gammon has a competitive streak. He wants to go to college to defeat the hardest enemy in the world, himself. Turns out, Gammon lost a fight badly when he was a kid, and ever since, he's been determined to prove himself through academics. But studying is a real struggle for him. He gets so frustrated when he forgets things. Han-kyung finally understands Gammon's obsession. She muses that everyone's so hung up on being first place, but maybe it's the effort that counts. Her words seem to make Gammon think. Maybe there's more to life than just winning. The uncle reveals that Gammon gets his competitive nature from his father. We see a photo of his dad holding a young Gammon at his graduation, and you can just feel the weight of expectation in that picture. Later, Gammon goes to check on Han-kyung and finds her studying. She's so startled when he walks in that she blushes beet red. It's adorable. The truth comes out. The loan sharks are after Han-kyung because her dad disappeared. Gammon wants his uncle to help, but Han-kyung feels like she's being a burden. She turns away, tears in her eyes, trying to hide her vulnerability. Gammon comforts her, saying he has a feeling her dad didn't abandon her by choice and that something must have happened. His words seem to give her a glimmer of hope. Han-kyung tells him to cheer up and offers him her mom's room for the night. Gammon jokes that she'd be in big trouble if she tried to sneak in. The playful banter shows just how much closer they've become. 1 week later, the search for Han-kyung's father has led Gammon down a dark path. We see him running through an abandoned school building, a look of pure agony on his face. He's clearly in deep trouble. In a locker hallway, Gammon comes face to face with a mysterious silver-haired man. This guy knows who he is and warns him that he's screwed if his true identity gets out. And it seems this silver-haired guy is the same one who defeated Gammon in that fight all those years ago. He looks at Gammon with a chilling, malicious smirk. The fated rivals have met again. What's going to happen next? Just as Gammon faces his old rival, another dark story unfolds elsewhere in the city. In some rundown room, a desperate blonde guy is cornered by a man in a suit. And this suit isn't here to talk. He's got receipts, showing this dude stole money from his own elderly mother to gamble it all away. And get a load of this stone-cold operator, Park Gunyeb, from the Hyrule Capital Debt Collection Team. He lays out the numbers. A cool $28,000, principal plus insane interest. The debtor's freaking out, but Gunyeb's logic is simple and brutal. To deal with a senseless man, you have to become one yourself. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and the debtor lunges with a screwdriver. But he clearly picked the wrong guy to mess with. Gunyeb deflects it like it's nothing, and BM, a swift kick, sends the guy flying. That was over before it even started. The guy threatens to call the cops, but Gunyeb just picks up the screwdriver and lays down an ultimatum. Go ahead, if you want to live the rest of your life blind. The absolute ice in this man's veins. He then casually calls his boss, reporting that the debtor has agreed to borrow more money to pay them back. A classic vicious cycle. Meanwhile, a mysterious silver-haired figure walks the neon-lit streets. The scene then cuts to a Mr. GI from Hyrule Capital, who's busy stuffing his face while sizing up a new recruit, clearly unimpressed and thinking they sent him some young punk. Wait a damn minute. That silver-haired intern is that our boy Gammon. So that reunion with his rival was a flash-forward. Right now, Gammon is deep undercover in a loan shark operation. Look at him, just 17 and already living this messed-up double life. And his inner monologue drops a bombshell. His mission, to get closer to the big boss, Yan Pai, than his own son. He's starting from the absolute bottom to pull off the ultimate infiltration. Our boy isn't just a fighter. He's playing 4D chess. Mr. GI, between massive bites of food, schools Gammon on the rules of the game. Yan is putting on a clean public face, but he's still pulling the strings on all the dirty money. To survive, you gotta play dirty. And Gammon is soaking it all in, already gathering evidence against the kingpin. Back on the outside, we see a couple of Gammon's associates discussing his internship. They know he's undercover, recognizing that while Mr. GI is an annoying old boomer, he's the key to getting Gammon into the executive office. Turns out, Gammon's plan is multi-layered. He's not just working from the inside. He's got allies on the outside pulling strings too, making sure the local school gangs won't interfere with his long-term goals. The dude has all his bases covered. And one of his key allies is this tough-as-nails girl with the braid. She's got a serious grudge against someone named Taehuanin, and you can just feel the dangerous energy coming off her. Gammon is assembling quite the team. Parting ways with his ally, Gammon is left alone with his thoughts. He looks out at the city, convinced the world is just filled with garbage. You can see the weight of this mission pressing down on him. And we see just how deep he's gone. To maintain his cover, our boy has become a ruthless enforcer, beating down debtors who are drowning in their own addictions. He knows he's become scum, but he doesn't care. As long as he can drag the real villain down with him, he's willing to burn. The tragedy is, these aren't all hardened criminals he's dealing with. Some are just desperate people, like this father begging for a loan just to pay for his kid's cram school. It's a heartbreaking sight, showing the real human cost of this dirty business. Meanwhile, back with Park Gunyeb, he's getting new orders from his boss, Mr. GI. The new target, a girl named Minhui Jiang. And GI makes it personal, threatening to go after the four-eyed high school punk's friends. The plot lines are starting to converge. Gunyeb gets right to work, tracking down Minhui's friends through social media. He starts checking the local internet cafes, determined to find her. Even a cold-blooded debt collector feels the pressure to perform. And here's the kicker. We get a flashback revealing Gunyeb's own painful past. He was bullied as a kid, called a gambler's son, because his mom got tangled up with loan sharks. The irony is brutal. He's become the very thing he hated. Just then, his past and present collide. Gunyeb stumbles upon a group of bullies picking on a student. He's about to walk away, but then he spots it, a stack of cash hidden under the victim's head. Suddenly, this just got interesting. The kid desperately explains the money is for his cram school, but the bullies laugh it off, deciding to confiscate his illegal gambling funds. Watching the scene play out, you could just tell Gunyeb is about to snap. And there it is. Just as the lead bully is about to lay into the kid, Gunyeb intervenes. A single, brutal high kick is all it takes to send the punk flying. He's not just a debt collector, he's a one-man wrecking crew. The bullied kid is in total shock. The other punks are frozen in fear. But look at Gunyeb. There's a fire in his eyes. He's not just stopping a bully. He's fighting for the helpless kid he used to be. Kicking off the next episode, Gunyeb is just getting started. He follows up with a devastating punch that absolutely rearranges the other bully's face. This guy does not mess around. The rest of the gang is completely terrified, begging for mercy. The kid he saved just watches in stunned silence. He's never seen anything like this before. To him, Gunyeb must look like a monster. Gunyeb snatches back the blood-stained money. And just for good measure, he puts his foot on the bully's back and crunch. The sound alone is enough to make you wince. Pure brutality. The bully screams, "I gave you the money. Why are you still doing this?" But Gunyeb isn't done teaching his lesson. He grinds his heel in a guy's face. This is beyond debt collection. This is personal. Finally, he tosses the bloody cash back to the kid he saved, leaving him with two simple but powerful words: fight back. It's a harsh lesson, but it's the one Gunyeb himself had to learn to survive. He walks away, leaving the bullies broken on the ground. He reflects on how the world is full of predators who feed on the weak. Being weak isn't a sin, he thinks, but refusing to fight back is. Meanwhile, in a much lighter corner of the story, a girl at a PC bang is worried sick. She can't get a hold of her friend, and her mind immediately jumps to romance. Is she at that boy's house? I think he likes you. The fangirling is real. And it turns out, this is So In Choi, the very girl Gunyeb was looking for. Her friends are teasing her about Gammon, calling him her prince for saving her. His reputation is spreading, I see. So In is about to join her friends, but she pauses. Her best friend Minhui, is going through a tough time, and she can't just ignore that. She decides to head home. Friendship over fun, what a good friend. As the sun sets over the school, there's a moment of peace. But we all know that in a place like Yusung High, the calm never lasts long. The focus shifts back to our study group, and they're not happy. The rest of the study group is complaining about Gammon's absence, especially the hot-headed redhead. They don't understand what he's going through, and the rift between them is growing. Right on cue, Gammon calls. But when one of his friends answers, he hears a girl's voice in the background. His imagination immediately runs wild. Does he have a girl at home? Is he keeping her trapped? Dude, chill. This guy's mind is a runaway train, heading straight for Crazy Town. He's convinced Gammon is involved in some sick stuff. Little does he know, the truth is far more complicated. Our boy can't tell them, and the isolation is eating him up. Meanwhile, another team is on the move, trying to track down Minhui's dad. They're calling in favors and chasing down leads, but it seems Mr. Jang has completely vanished. But then a breakthrough. An old coworker gives them a vital piece of intel. Mr. Jang has connections in Giro. He's got a middle school classmate who runs an architect's office there. This is their first real lead. Gammon gets the news and relays it to his uncle, Hankyong. He'll check it out tomorrow. It's a surprisingly normal, domestic moment amidst all the chaos. A small reminder of the life he's fighting for. But danger is never far away. On his way home, a shady-looking guy intentionally bumps into him, flashing a malicious smirk. Gammon immediately feels it. He's being watched. At the same time, Minhui, who's been hiding out at Gammon's place, is going stir-crazy. She's vacuumed, done the dishes, and is sick of phone games. She knows it's dangerous to go out, but the boredom is killing her. She's just about to risk a quick walk when she remembers what Gammon told her, his belief that her dad didn't just abandon her. It's that small bit of hope that keeps her from doing something reckless. Her thoughts drift back to a memory of her drunk father coming home. This memory is chillingly juxtaposed with a live feed from the doorbell cam. A masked figure in a green hoodie is standing right outside. The danger is literally at the door. Unaware of the masked man, Minhui thinks it's Gammon and Hankyong returning. She decides to surprise them, trying to sneak a delivery of soy sauce crab through the door. But just as she's about to, the door flies open. Standing in the doorway isn't Gammon or Hankyong. It's a completely new face, a serious-looking guy with brown hair. Who is he, and what does he want? The cliffhanger is killing me. New episode, and we're starting with a side story. A red-haired girl is stewing over some guy who asked for her number. She's replaying the whole weird encounter in her head. She recalls how he claimed his phone was upstairs, but then held on to hers for way too long. He was supposed to call himself, so he'd have her number, but he never sent a single text. Something's not adding up. And now, back to the standoff at the door. It clicks into place. The brown-haired guy is the same one who asked for the redhead's number. He wasn't trying to flirt. He used her phone's automatic call recording to track Gammon's address, which led him straight to Minhui. This guy is a pro. But that was just a cover story to get inside. He immediately drops the act and reveals his true identity. He's from Hyrule Capital's debt collection team. He bursts in, terrifying Minhui. Hold on. Could this be Park Gunyup? He tells her to listen closely to what he's about to say. The scene then flashes back to a happier time, a photo of Minhui and her dad at her middle school graduation. It's a painful reminder of the man he used to be. We realize Minhui is recounting this story to Hankyong. She explains that despite his issues with money, her dad always managed to be a good father to her. It's this memory that makes his disappearance so hard to accept. Meanwhile, our boy Gammon is on the hunt. He's tailing a man in a black hoodie, and from the looks of it, this could be him. The man looks exactly like the father in Minhui's picture. He's found him. Gammon knows he has to be careful. If he approaches directly, the guy might run, so he decides to tail him from a distance. But just as he's getting started, his phone rings, threatening to blow his cover. It's Hankyong, and he's panicking. He tells Gammon that one of the loan shark's goons showed up at the house. Gammon's heart drops. He abandons his target and sprints home as fast as he can. He bursts through the door to find his uncle waiting for him, looking dead serious. You can tell from the look on his face that something major just went down. But the story takes a weird turn. Hankyong explains that the debt collector came by and then just left without doing anything. Minhui, sitting on the couch, is clearly shaken by the encounter. Minhui recounts what happened. The mysterious debt collector, Gammon's silver-haired rival, simply told her to listen close to what he was about to say. He wasn't there to threaten her. He was there to warn her. He revealed that Mr. Gi is looking for her and that he won't be the only one sent after her. He tells her to be extra careful. Is this guy an ally? After hearing the story, Gammon promises Minhui that he'll find her dad, confident that he knows where he is. But this doesn't comfort her. She's terrified of what will happen to her father once he's found. And her fear is justified. Gammon explains the kind of man Mr. Gi is, someone who will squeeze a person dry, force them to sign over their will, and put them through a living hell worse than death. This is serious. The silver-haired rival didn't pull any punches with Minhui, either. He told her the harsh truth. Her father was a coward who ran away to save his own skin, leaving his own child to face the consequences of his greed. He then drops the final bomb. Her father used her as collateral. He advises her to cut ties with a man like that and makes a chilling promise. Don't worry, I'll put an end to it. His motives are becoming more and more unclear. The next day, Gammon fills in his friend from the study group. Han Kyung's sister relays the message. The silver-haired guy is close to finding Min Hui's dad. Hearing this, Min Hui resolves to go to Mr. Gi herself. But Gammon's friend, Sunchul Kim, intercepts her. He warns her with a deadly serious tone. Don't go to the baldy. He clearly knows more than he's letting on. Sunchul's warning, combined with everything else, pushes Min Hui over the edge. Staring at the photo of her and her dad, she finally accepts the truth. He's the worst kind of person, and she decides then and there to cut him out of her life for good. Memories flood her mind. Threats of violence, the rival's promise to end things, the memory of her father's smile. It's a storm of conflicting emotions. This poor girl has been through too much. Just as she's breaking down, Sunchul grabs her arm. He sees her tears, and his expression shifts from concern to pure, unshakable resolve. He tells her not to believe a word a loan shark says. He insists she has every reason to trust her dad and that she needs to meet him face to face to see the truth for herself. And then, he makes a promise. Don't worry. I'll find him for you. Sunchul immediately gets on the phone, his voice filled with righteous fury. He vows that the guy who badmouthed her father is going to personally apologize to her. Now that's what I call a loyal friend. Meanwhile, Min Hui and Han Kyung decide to take matters into their own hands and head to the loan shark's office. But when they arrive, they find the entire crew passed out asleep. It's Saturday after all. The tension just evaporates into a moment of pure comedy. Mr. Gi groggily wakes from his nap, only to be greeted by the sight of Han Kyung, weapon drawn and ready for battle. Okay, so the peace and quiet isn't going to last. Kicking off the new episode, we're back at the loan shark's office. Mr. Gi and the silver-haired guy are discussing Min Hui's dad's debt. They've squeezed him for everything he's worth, and now, as Gi chillingly puts it, all he has left is his body. Their plan is as twisted as it gets. Since the father is tapped out, they're going to use the daughter, Min Hui, to get their money. Gi orders his men to find me this bitch. These guys are absolute scum. As they're laughing about their vile plan, a couple of their goons walk into the office. But something's wrong. The place is too quiet. And then they see it. Their buddies are already knocked out on the floor. Mr. Gi is furious. He knows exactly who's responsible. The four-eyed high school punk. Yep, that's right. Han Kyung has arrived, and he's not knocking. Let's rewind a few minutes. Han Kyung stormed in and made his demand directly to the silver-haired guy. Stop looking for Min Hui Jiang. Taken aback by this kid's audacity, the silver-haired guy gives a simple order to his men. Get him. But these suits are no match for Han Kyung. Wielding his signature weapon, he moves like a blur, effortlessly dodging their clumsy attacks. He's on a completely different level. Back at home, Han Kyung's sister is putting the pieces together. She realizes he didn't go to study today. He went straight to Hyrule Capital, and she knows that can only mean trouble. She looks at his study planner and sees an unusual item listed. Nunchucks practice. It cuts to Han Kyung in the middle of the fight, taking down a goon with a brutal slam. This kid isn't just a nerd, he's a warrior. The office has turned into a war zone. Han Kyung is an absolute tornado of destruction, dismantling Mr. Gi's thugs one by one. He moves with a deadly grace, his weapon an extension of his will. Look at the focus in his eyes. This isn't his first fight, not by a long shot. A beautiful spinning kick takes down another opponent. The power and precision are just insane. He's a one-man army. Even the silver-haired guy is impressed, sarcastically asking, "Who are you, Bruce Lee?" But Han Kyung doesn't have time for talk. He lets his actions speak for him, leaping into the fray. All right, playtime's over. The silver-haired guy gets serious and steps in himself. He throws a heavy punch, showing he's got some skills of his own. But Han Kyung is just too fast. He dodges the attack and comes back with a vicious counterpunch that connects right on the money. What a beautiful move. The silver-haired guy is sent stumbling back. And now, Han Kyung is unleashing his ultimate technique, Uncle's forbidden tactic. Oh, he's got a secret weapon. He calls it the nunchucks of death, and with a name like that, you know it's serious. He directs his threat straight at Mr. Gi. Lay a finger on Min Hui Jiang, and you're dead. The kid's got guts. Mr. Gi is sweating bullets, completely intimidated. Han Kyung demands to know where Min Hui's father is, but Gi is genuinely clueless. He thought Han Kyung's people were the ones who were close to finding him. Meanwhile, the man who actually knows what's going on, Park Gunyeb, is on the phone. He's confirmed Sunmin Jiang's location and is on his way. He's arrived at the retreat's hotel and reports to his boss that he'll beat him within an inch of his life before dragging him back. Classic Gunyeb, always straight to the point. Back at the office, Han-kyung overhears Ji-I's phone call and learns about the hotel. Realizing the danger, he immediately bolts. It's now a race against time to get to Sunmin Jang first. Feeling played, Mr. Ji makes a call of his own. He's furious and is sending his best men to the hotel as backup. This is escalating quickly. And just like that, all the players are converging on a single location. Gammon is running, Han-kyung's sister is worried, and Park Gunyeb is already on site. The retreat's hotel is about to become a battleground. And at the center of this impending storm, Sunmin Jang sits alone in his hotel room, consumed by despair. New chapter, and we're right inside the hotel room. Sunmin Jang is at his breaking point. He's chugging soju and popping pills, clearly intending to end it all. The scene intercuts between someone furiously texting and Park Gunyeb striding purposefully down the hotel corridor. The tension is palpable. A final, angry text is sent. "In no way, you gangster sons of bitches." Meanwhile, Gammon is still sprinting through the city. A quick flash shows Gunyeb back at the office, manhandling someone. But back in the present, a taxi is speeding directly towards our boy. Gammon narrowly dodges the car, but his journey is interrupted again. A motorcycle screeches to a halt in front of him. The rider takes off his helmet, revealing a familiar face from Yusung High. It's Sunchul Kim from the study group. He just happened to be in the area and offers Gammon a ride. Talk about perfect timing. The cavalry has arrived. On the way, Sunchul gets philosophical. He points out that ever since the school's ruling gang was taken down, things have actually gotten worse. Sometimes, a twisted sense of order is better than none at all. He muses on how people in the real world, much like in comics, seem to cheer for the ruthless anti-hero, mistaking their cruelty for strength and justice. It's a world where evil and strength have become synonymous, where even the protagonist has to do bad things to achieve their goal. It's a poignant commentary that hits a little too close to home for Gammon. Back at the hotel, Park Gunyeb is at the door, ringing the bell. He has his own take. Anyone who thinks evil is their only option is just a miserable soul. His words contrast with his actions, creating a complex character. The motorcycle ride ends, and Gammon gets off to approach the hotel on foot. Sunchul's words are still echoing in his mind. In this messed up world, how can he find the right path? Before he leaves, Gammon thanks Sunchul and drops a bombshell of his own. He's found a lead on their missing teacher, Ms. Lee. Even in the middle of this chaos, he hasn't forgotten his original mission. Sunchul gives him one last piece of advice. Whatever you're confused about, remember this. His words of support are a beacon of light for Gammon in this dark and lonely fight. With renewed determination, Gammon dashes towards the hotel. At the same time, Han-kyung's sister receives a text from him, and the message inside only deepens her worry. And then, a text that changes everything. Minwi gets a message from her dad. It's not a cry for help. It's a command. From now on, do as I tell you. The message cuts off, leaving her in a state of pure terror. Back in the hotel room, Park Gunyeb has broken in just in the nick of time. He stopped Sumin's suicide attempt, telling him coldly that it was a necessary action to prevent him from taking his own life. Sunmin completely breaks down, screaming that nobody could ever pay back their ridiculous interest rates. Gunyeb just looks at this pathetic man with utter contempt. Losing his mind, Sunmin grabs the soja bottle and tries to attack Gunyeb, yelling, "What the fuck would a kid like you know?" Gunyeb easily disarms him, smashing the bottle against his hand. He unleashes a torrent of rage, yelling at Sunmin, "How can you be so proud, knowing what kind of sick shit your daughter was about to go through because of you?" This is personal for him. And at that exact moment, Gammon bursts in. He sees Gunyeb holding Sunmin and instantly recognizes his voice from the phone. All the pieces are clicking into place. Gammon screams at him to put the man down. But Gunyeb, the silver-haired rival, calmly tells Gammon to live his life and stay out of it. He claims this is just business, making sure a man pays his debt. Gammon knows that won't work. He goes for the jugular, bringing up Detective Na and Gunyeb's mother's death. He hits him where it hurts the most. The words hit their mark. We see flashes of Gunyeb's past pain, the reason he wanted to stay away from Gammon's life. But the situation with Ms. Lee has forced his hand, dragging them both back into the darkness. But Gammon's resolve is unshakable. He understands that misery exists, but he also believes that there must be those who object to that misery. And right now, he's one of them. Words have failed. There's only one thing left to do. Our boy Gammon throws a punch, ready to settle this with his fists. Look at the fire in his eyes. The two undercover enforcers, the student and the veteran, are about to clash. This is going to be an epic showdown. Just as the epic showdown is about to begin, bam, we're hit with a sudden flashback. We're in the retreat's hotel, and things have clearly gone sideways. It's a full-on brawl, And from the looks of this tense standoff, we're about to find out how it all went down. This guy is absolutely losing it, roaring about something being the first time in his life. But what's got him so rattled? Turns out, just moments before this chaos, he had a tearful reunion with his son, Noah. A beautiful family moment that was clearly just shattered. This whole mess seems to trigger a memory for our boy Gammon. We're taken back to a softer time, his mom telling him how proud she is of him for studying abroad to chase his dreams. But that peaceful memory is interrupted by a call that would change everything, asking him to come back to Korea. And what's this all about? It all connects back to the notorious Yusung Hai. We see a young woman, likely his teacher Han-kyung, reading the grim news about the school. Overwhelmed, she calls her mom, longing for home. It's a touching moment, finding comfort in her mother's unconditional love. But just as we feel the warmth, the memory shatters into a nightmare. The loving my son twists into a dying whisper. The image of his smiling mother is replaced by her bloodied and broken form. This is the trauma our boy lives with, a memory that rips him apart every time it surfaces. And snap, we're back to the present. That horrifying memory fuels an explosive rage in Gammon. Look at the pure shock on his opponent's face as Gammon unleashes hell, screaming, "Who the hell do you think you are?" He's not just fighting an enemy, he's fighting his own demons. Boom! Gammon lands a solid hit, but his opponent isn't going down easy. Whack! He counters with a brutal shot of his own, but it's not enough. The dude hits the floor, looking absolutely stunned. He clearly underestimated our boy. Gammon is on an absolute rampage. He follows up with a relentless barrage, sending the guy flying into a wall. The sheer power in his eyes is terrifying. The clash is so intense, it ends with both of them crashing to the floor. This is getting destructive, but Gammon gives him no time to recover. His opponent tries to get back up, gripping the floor for leverage, but Gammon is just too fast. He smashes through his defense and delivers a final, brutal crack to the head. It's over. Total domination. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, the real plot is unfolding. We've got a tense standoff where a crucial piece of info drops. A big shot named Mr. Gi is after Minhui Jiang, but this guy here is secretly targeting someone else. And little do they know, one of Mr. Gi's bald-headed enforcers is already on his way up. Turns out this bald enforcer is gunning for an executive position, and he's willing to do whatever it takes. He's already talking down to his partner, dreaming about the promotion he'll get for securing the target. Look at that smug grin. This guy is bad news. Back to the brawl. The blonde dude getting pummeled realizes something's off. His opponents are way too fast, not your average thugs. It triggers a memory, reminding him of the first time he saw Gammon at Yusung High. And then it hits him. That quiet, nerdy-looking kid he saw, our boy Gammon, has been hiding his true skills all along. The realization is a total shock, and he now understands just how dangerous his current opponent really is. With his cover blown, Gammon stops holding back. He unleashes his signature move, the one-inch punch. His opponent yells, "I'm better," but talk is cheap. He's completely unprepared for the sheer force of this attack. The force of the blow sends him sliding across the floor. As he looks up, Gammon looms over him with a chilling question. Do you have it in you to kill a man? The vibe just shifted. This isn't a schoolyard scuffle anymore. This is a life-or-death confrontation. That question sends a chill down his spine, reminding him of another monster he once faced, a red-haired fighter with the same terrifying eyes. At that moment, he felt the same overwhelming sense of dread he's feeling right now. Snapping out of the memory, Gammon makes a break for it, crashing right through the window. He's not sticking around to chat, but as soon as he lands, he realizes he's jumped from the frying pan into the fire. He's surrounded by another crew. Desperate to save Mr. Jiang, Gammon goes for a wild move, leaping headfirst into a car to create a distraction. He's ready to risk it all to fight his way through. Now that's the kind of insane grit you'd expect from a Yusung High student. Our boy is in full retreat mode with the thugs hot on his tail. He's frantically trying to figure out his escape, realizing he's on the second floor. It's a risky jump, but he's running out of options fast. But in that critical moment, his eyes catch a photo on a table below. It's Han-kyung crying her eyes out. A horrible thought strikes him. Could Mr. Jiang already be dead? The possibility sends him into a spiral of despair. Before he can even process it, the enemy is on him. They grab our boy from behind and slam him to the ground, giving him zero chance to escape. They're not playing around. The big guy pins Gammon down with a smirk, while his partner in crime, a dude in a leopard print shirt, casually flips open a knife. You can just tell by his nonchalant attitude that this guy is a stone-cold killer. And we're back. The story shifts focus to Minhui, who gets a disturbing call from her dad. He's talking about life insurance and telling her to file a renunciation of inheritance if he dies. This entire conversation is just screaming bad omen. It's clear now. Min Hui's dad is in deep trouble, probably with debt. He stumbles towards an employee's only area, muttering that money is everything. That look of grim determination on his face, he's about to do something drastic. As he runs toward the construction site, his mind is filled with regret and apologies for his daughter. He knows he's messed up her life with his problems, but at this point, he feels like there's no turning back. Meanwhile, Minhui is going into full-on panic mode, unable to reach her dad. She can't just sit by and let him die. But just as she's about to rush out, the doorbell rings. Who could that be at a time like this? Outside her door, it's total chaos. Someone hears her voice, but is quickly silenced. There's a loud crash from outside the hotel, followed by a series of violent thumps against the door down the hall. Something big is going down. Back to our boy Gammon, who's currently in the middle of a classic Yusunghai chase scene. With a whole mob on his heels, he makes a desperate dash for a glass door, ready to plow right through it. The chase turns into an all-out brawl. People are getting slammed and sent flying. As Gammon fights his way through the chaos, one of his allies watches from the shadows, try to make sense of the situation. This is one tough fight. While on the run, Gammon's mind is racing. He's sure Mr. Jiang is in trouble, and he suspects that bald guy with the goatee is behind it all. Time is running out, and he needs to find Mr. Jiang now. Just then, he spots a familiar face, the blonde guy from the hotel. He's on the phone, giving a status report. Gammon can't shake the feeling that he's seen this guy somewhere before. The pieces are slowly coming together. No time to waste. Gammon puts two and two together and realizes Mr. Jiang must be at the construction site. He takes off immediately. Meanwhile, the blonde kid gets the same intel and is already racing up to the 4th floor. Turns out, this kid has been on Mr. Jiang's trail for a while. He found a letter from an insurance company and figured out the suicide plot, keeping tabs on him ever since. This whole thing is a carefully orchestrated scheme. As he sprints up the stairs, he breaks down Mr. Jiang's twisted logic. Backed into a corner, Jiang's last resort is to jump, using the insurance payout as a way to ease the guilt of practically selling his own daughter. What a tragic mess. Finally, he reaches the rooftop and finds him. Mr. Jiang confronts him, asking why he's there. Our guy knows he has to tread carefully. One wrong move, and everything could go terribly wrong. Mr. Jiang begins to confess his story of regret. He always wanted to be an artist, but was forced by his parents to follow a conventional path, leading him down a road of debt and despair to this very moment. He was the perfect son, the pride of his parents, but their constant demands and comparisons were a suffocating burden. Even after their death, he's been haunted by their unfulfilled wishes, desperately trying to achieve what they wanted for him. He wonders how different his life would have been if he'd chosen art. But the kid calls him out, telling him that his choices are the very reason his daughter Minhui is suffering. Does he only feel sorry for himself, and not for her? The words hit him like a ton of bricks. He pushed his daughter into the hands of a monster and ran away like a coward. He can't even deny it. The only reason Mr. Gi is after Minhui is because he failed as a father. Defeated, Mr. Jiang gives up. He assumes it's all over. But hearing that Minhui is safe brings him a small moment of relief. The kid coldly apologizes for his earlier aggression and tells him to get out of this life while he still can. But just when you think it's over, another player enters the game. A figure appears from behind and viciously kicks Mr. Jiang to the ground. Looks like the real threat has just arrived. As our boy Gammon rushes to the scene, he gets a call from his uncle. He quickly fills him in and asks for the location of the nearest construction site. His uncle drops a bombshell. Gunyeb Park is already after Mr. Jiang. And speak of the devil, it's Gunyeb Park himself. He's got Mr. Jiang cornered and starts mocking his insurance fraud scheme. He scoffs at the idea that suicide would be a clean getaway, calling him naive for thinking it would go smoothly. Gunyeb continues his psychological assault, tearing down Jiang's plan as nothing more than a selfish act of vanity disguised as sacrifice. With Jiang as his pawn, he now has the perfect bargaining chip to use against Mr. Gi. At the same time, Gammon's uncle gets some shocking intel of his own. The architecture office Mr. Jiang went to? It was a front for a gang hideout. This situation is way more dangerous than they initially thought. Over the phone, his uncle lays out the crazy truth for Gammon. Mr. Jiang hired another gang to stage his own murder so his daughter could collect the life insurance money. The sheer desperation of this plan is just mind-blowing. He knew the insurance company would never pay out for a suicide, so he had to make it look like a murder. The cold, calculated nature of this scheme is sending shivers down my spine. And the man hired for the job? None other than Jin Hak, Y of the new Dizong gang. Just one look at this guy, and you know he means business. A true professional. Now, we get a glimpse into the hitman's past. Jin Hak Y recalls his younger days, when life was so hard that saying, "I want to die" became a habit. That feeling of hopelessness, curled up next to a pile of trash, is a pain he's never forgotten. But back then, it was just words a way to complain. It wasn't until he got that overdue loan notification from the bank that reality hit him hard. Life felt like hell, but he realized he didn't actually want to die. And that's why he can't stand Mr. Jang's plan to orchestrate his own death. From his perspective, it's the ultimate act of arrogance. And he's more than happy to be the one to put an end to it. In a fight, Jin Hak is absolutely brutal. He seems to revel in the moments just before death, believing them to be the most painful. This twisted mindset is what makes him such a terrifying hitman. He has Mr. Jang pinned down, completely at his mercy. But just in the nick of time, Gunyeb Park crashes the party, sending the hitman flying with a powerful kick. Oh, the plot thickens. This is getting good. Jin Hak is completely thrown off. This wasn't part of the plan. He looks at Gunyeb, realizing the job just got a whole lot more complicated. And clearly, Gunyeb knew this hotel was the rendezvous point all along. Meanwhile, Gammon's friends have arrived on the scene. They squeezed some info out of the loan shark and figured out this would be the place to find Gammon. The study group is finally assembling. Minhui also made it, but she finds the street eerily quiet. A sense of dread washes over her as she calls out for her dad, only to be met with silence. The tension is real. Just then, Gammon spots something on the ground, a crack leading to a hidden manhole. He has a hunch this is where he'll find Mr. Jang and the others. It's time to go underground. His friends confirm the intel. Mr. Jang hired another gang to fake his death for the insurance money. They know they have to find him fast before this whole thing goes completely off the rails. Down in the tunnel, Gunyeb and Jin Hak are already throwing down. Gunyeb admits he didn't see this coming, but now he has no choice but to fight his way through. Jin Hak looks at his opponent, filled with regret. He thought this was going to be an easy payday, a quick in-and-out job. He never expected to get dragged into such a complicated mess. Mr. Jang watches the fight unfold, a storm of despair and anger brewing inside him. He feels like a complete joke, a pawn being used by everyone around him. Jin Hak raises his knife again, telling Mr. Jang not to worry. He'll make it quick and painless. In their world, you don't back out of a deal. You either see it through or you die. But Gunyeb isn't about to let that happen. He knows the hitman has another knife, so he makes his move, realizing he has no choice but to fight for his life. Wielding his knife, Jin Hak taunts Gunyeb, trying to get under his skin. But he has no idea he's messing with a seasoned veteran who won't be easily provoked. Gunyeb takes a hit, but in the heat of battle, he senses something strange about this loan shark. There's something off about his movements, something in his eyes that doesn't add up. Seizing an opening, Gunyeb goes for a brutal headbutt. He's ready to end this fight with the most raw and savage move in his arsenal. Crack! The headbutt lands with devastating force, leaving Jin Hak completely dazed. And just as the tide turns, our boy Gammon finally arrives on the scene, ready to jump into the fray. Gunyeb unleashes a verbal beatdown, blaming hitmen like Jin Hak for all the innocent lives lost for greed. He's had enough of cowards who kill from the shadows, and he's here to deliver some long-overdue justice. But Jin Hak isn't done yet. In a shocking twist, he catches Gunyeb off guard and stabs him in the gut. The sudden reversal leaves everyone stunned. This fight is far from over. Clutching his wound, Gunyeb looks at the hitman and sees a reflection of himself. They're both killers, just with different methods. One uses a knife, while the other bleeds people dry without spilling a drop. It's a dark realization. And just when things couldn't get any crazier, the big boss himself, Mr. Gi, arrives with his entire crew. He takes in the bloody scene, and the look in his eyes is pure murder. A full-scale war is about to break out. Yusung Technical High, the school known as a breeding ground for future criminals. What kind of bloody spectacle is about to unfold today? And we cut right to the action. Turns out, the hitman Jin Hak was hired by Mr. Gi all along. This tangled web of allegiances just keeps getting more and more confusing. Gammon watches the scene unfold, his senses on high alert. He hears the clink of metal and knows Jin Hak is going in for the kill. The hitman's cold eyes are now locked on Han-Kyong, looking for an opening. Gammon's blue-haired friend has seen enough. He charges forward and tackles Jin Hak to the ground, laying into him with his fists. "I'll take your silence as acknowledgement," he roars. The cavalry has arrived. But Jin Hak is a professional killer, and he's not going down that easily. With a swift move, he reverses the situation and stabs his attacker right in the head. A brutal, bloody counter that leaves everyone breathless. Even Gunyeb is overpowered, with Jinhak's knife pressed against his throat. The hitman mockingly tells him to stay out of it. It looks like even the veteran is in deep trouble now. But Gunyeb is no pushover. Enduring the pain, he seizes an opportunity and lands a powerful blow, knocking Jinhak back. He tells the kid to get lost so he can make some money. This is his fight. But Gunyeb's punches are getting weaker. He's losing too much blood. And just as his strength fades, a new challenger appears, the #1 fighter of the Northern Alliance. Looks like we're about to witness a top-tier showdown. This powerhouse is none other than Young Hyunji, the top successor to the white-collar throne. His underlings report that a new challenger has emerged, but he casually dismisses it, saying he's already sent the guy to Mr. Gi. His calm demeanor is seriously intimidating. Back on the battlefield, the fight between Gunyeb and Jinhak has reached its brutal climax. Both men are heavily injured, but neither is willing to back down. They settle it with one final, savage clash of heads. Jinhak gets stabbed again, but instead of screaming in pain, a twisted smile spreads across his face. He seems to be enjoying this near-death experience, a reaction that sends a shiver down Gunyeb's spine. They grapple on the ground, fighting for control of the deadly knife. In the end, Gunyeb's experience wins out, and he manages to plunge the blade deep into Jinhak's arm. But just as Gunyeb is about to deliver the final blow, Young Hyun's underling, the blonde dude with the knuckle dusters, appears out of nowhere and sends Jinhak flying. What's going on? Are they working together? Gunyeb staggers to his feet, completely bewildered by the chaotic turn of events. Han Kyong rushes to his side, asking if he's okay. The situation is a total mess. And then, Mr. Gi and his army of suits descend upon them. He glares at the injured Gunyeb and coldly asks, "Gunyeb Park, did you do this to him?" Now our guy is trapped, with no easy way to explain himself. Mr. Gi doesn't seem to care about the truth. He's just looking for an excuse. He tells his men they can't collect money from a dead debtor anyway, so they might as well finish the job. His absolute lack of empathy is bone-chilling. In front of everyone, Mr. Gi lays out Mr. Jang's entire twisted scheme. To get the insurance money, he went behind his own gang's back and hired a rival gang to kill him. The bombshell revelation leaves everyone completely stunned. It turns out Mr. Jang had a history with a Mr. Kwan from the rival gang. Backed into a corner with no other options, he went to Kwan and begged for his help, leading to this whole tragic situation. Mr. Kwan listened to his desperate plea and, while feigning sympathy, told him that suicide wouldn't work. But he offered him a way to have a meaningful death. His words sound like the whisper of the devil himself. And who was pulling the strings behind it all? Gunyeb Park. He knew about Jang's connection to Kwan and orchestrated the entire situation, manipulating him into seeking help from the rival gang. He's been the puppet master all along. Mr. Gi continues his verbal assault, cruelly revealing to Mr. Jang's daughter how her father sold her out and planned to use her insurance money to pay off his debts. His vicious words completely break Mr. Jang's spirit. It was all a setup orchestrated by Mr. Gi from the beginning. He tasked Gunyeb with this dirty job, promising him a promotion to the executive office as a reward. The lengths these guys will go to for power and money is just sickening. But just as Mr. Gi is gloating, our boy Gammon has had enough. He explodes into action and lands a massive punch right on the boss's face. Yes, that's what we've been waiting for. The protagonist is finally making his move. The surprise attack leaves Mr. Gi bloodied and stunned, giving Gunyeb the opening he needs to fight back. The scene erupts into chaos, catching Gammon's friends completely off guard. It looks like an all-out brawl is about to go down. In the midst of the chaos, Gunyeb flashes back to his own tragic past, orphaned and crushed by debt. He's been fighting this whole time to prevent others from suffering the same fate, using his own brutal methods to make a difference. And just then, reinforcements arrive in the most unexpected way possible. It's Gammon's uncle and his soy sauce crab crew. The gangsters are completely dumbfounded by this bizarre group of track-suited fighters. Now, that's how you make an entrance. Gammon's uncle steps up, declaring he's not the type to owe anyone a favor. Since they treated him to some soy sauce crab, he's here to return the favor by kicking some ass. You gotta respect that logic. The gangsters start mocking the tracksuit squad, but they have no idea who they're messing with. Gammon's friends recognize the legendary high school punk and know things are about to get seriously interesting. Gammon tells his uncle he was planning to handle this alone, but since a life is on the line, he needs his help. The nephew and uncle team-up is finally happening. Let's go. And his uncle does not disappoint. With a single punch to the ground, he creates a massive shockwave that sends the surrounding thugs flying. This guy's power level is completely off the charts. Even Gammon is shocked by his uncle's raw power. He quickly reminds him to hold back a little, warning him not to accidentally kill anyone. After all, our boy is trying to get into college, not get charged with murder. The gangsters are furious and charge forward with everything they've got. But Gammon, with his college dreams on the line, meets them head-on without a shred of hesitation. In the middle of the fight, Gammon's uncle whips out a pair of nunchucks and starts tearing through the enemy ranks. This guy is a weapons master too. This family is just built different. Not to be outdone, Gammon grabs a staff and joins the fray, taking down enemies with incredible skill. This whole scene looks like it's straight out of an action movie. Gammon's uncle gives him a quick lesson, explaining that nunchucks are perfect for crowd control. He then proceeds to demonstrate their awesome power. Talk about hands-on learning. Gammon immediately puts the lesson to use, unleashing his own move, the Fist of Fury, which sends a shockwave blasting his enemies away. Then he has the nerve to turn to his uncle and ask, "Kick ass, right?" The kid is getting cocky, and I love it. Meanwhile, the gang's lieutenants have seen enough. Watching this uncle-nephew duo tear through their men, they decide it's time to step in and handle things personally. Gammon's uncle has a weird observation, noting that one of his opponents understands rhythm. So he decides to fight fire with fire and disrupt the guy's flow with his own chaotic beat. Gammon's friend thinks his uncle is just messing around and starts to panic. But Gammon sees the genius in the madness. His uncle threw the nunchucks at the perfect moment, using them as a projectile to hit the enemy square in the face. Perfect teamwork. Leaping down from above, Gammon joins his uncle, ready to rescue Mr. Jang together. When these two team up, they're an absolutely unstoppable force of nature. Gammon's friend can only watch in disbelief. He's seen a lot of weird stuff in his life, but this uncle-nephew fighting duo takes the cake. It's less like a gang war and more like a chaotic family dispute. In the heat of the moment, Gammon gets a little too excited and almost loses control of his power, nearly sending a guy flying off the ledge. He manages to pull back just in time, but the close call leaves him shaken. Seeing Gammon almost slip up, his friend and uncle rush to help, pulling the unlucky thug back from the edge. That was way too close for comfort. Teamwork makes the dream work. After the dust settles, Gammon carries the injured gangster on his back, ready to take him to the hospital. He thanks his uncle, admitting that without him, he might have actually killed someone. This whole ordeal was a huge learning experience for our boy. Gunyeb looks at these kids and feels a sense of profound respect. He knows how cruel the world is and how empty words like, "you'll get through it" can be. But watching them, he feels a genuine sense of hope. His uncle asks him a heavy question. What did it feel like holding on to that man's life? Did he ever think of letting go? He reminds Gammon of the weight of a life. But our boy just smiles, saying he'll consider saving that life as payment for his own change. Mr. Jang jokes that Minhui seems to have a crush on Gammon's nephew, and they might become in-laws. This makes Gunyeb a little jealous, reminiscing about when she used to say she'd marry her daddy. The classic struggles of a doting father. As the group heads home, Minhui finally sees her father, safe and sound. She rushes towards him, out of breath, her eyes filled with a mixture of relief and fury. She lands a punch on her dad's chest, demanding to know why he would do something so stupid. And then she collapses into his arms, hugging him tightly as the tears finally start to fall. Crying, she tells him how even a stub toe makes her angry. So how could he even think about something so terrible? He promised he wouldn't miss her graduation, would walk her down the aisle. Her heartbreaking words move everyone who hears them. On the way home, Gammon runs into a man who claims to be his uncle. This sudden appearance catches our boy completely off guard. Who is this guy, really? Leaving the hospital with a heavy heart, Gammon's phone suddenly rings. He glances at the caller ID, and whatever he sees makes him flinch back in absolute shock. The caller is MS, Hankyong Lee. That name clearly strikes a nerve with Gammon. Will he answer the call? And what could she possibly have to say to him? We'll have to find out next time